My eyes are so burning right now. Oh, I forgot to bring that frame.
This is all you get, motherfuckers. Grizzly won't actively hunt out a human, but a polar bear will.
It's gonna be crazy.
Comments are great. Chris loves comments.
Yes.
I didn't stretch before I did this.
That Harley kicker workout.
It's like riding a skateboard.
All right, guys, there you go. That is the bike built 1960 Harley-Davidson Panhead. We're going to be going over this bike in this episode. Now, I did have to kind of come back and re-record an intro just because of the chronological timeline of you guys watching this. So we were basically trying to get it built for going up to homecoming. You guys are now seeing this video after homecoming. Unfortunately, we did not make the deadline with this motorcycle. So the 1960 Panhead, you guys haven't been following along with this build. I basically ended up buying this motorcycle from older gentlemen who could no longer kick the bike over. It was in pretty rough shape. We've basically gotten it to this point in collaboration with Drew here at Freak Show Fabrication. We thought we would have it ready to go by the deadline that we had set, but whenever we did get it fully built up and we started running it again, we came across a few extra problems, which we are going to show you guys in this episode. Let's go ahead, resume back to the normal episode, and you guys will see what issues we unfortunately came across.
Still on the fence about that. Yeah, I had to cut you off. It was perfect timing.
Like,
you know what? He was inhaling and he goes, and I had to let it out.
the last video that we released talking about this 1960s Harley-Davidson Panhead that we're rebuilding, which is my personal bike, there seems to be some confusion. A lot of people were like, I thought you guys did upswept pipes on it. Totally different motorcycle. So my apologies for that confusion and not like separating the stuff, clarifying enough. So we've got like 3 builds going on right now. This build that we're doing, this is a 2012 Harley-Davidson Sportster. So this is a modern fuel-injected Harley-Davidson Sportster that we took it down to frame, chopped it, welded the hardtail on it, made the custom exhaust, doing the sissy bar.
Did all this.
Yeah, 2012 Sportster that we're building. Then we're also building my personal 1960 Harley-Davidson Panhead, and then we're also building a 1960s era Panhead to give away to you guys. So we're building this bike, and then we're also building this bike, which is my personal bike, which we're going over in this episode, and then we're also building this bike,
I just had to.
which isn't really even a bike yet, it's just a frame, but this is the one that we're building to give away.
This is all you get, motherfuckers.
This is not all you get.
Frame.
We would have built the giveaway first instead of my Panhead, but with my Panhead we were trying to hit a deadline. Also, just to further clarify, this bike, the one that I've been showing you guys that we're giving away, is this bike, which is Drew's 1937 Harley-Davidson Flathead, modeled after like a 60s era bike. I've been using this bike as kind of the mock-up, the placeholder into what we're building this bike into. So it doesn't look like much now, but we're going to be building this bike into that bike essentially, but instead of a flathead, it's going to be a shovel pan. So show pan. Does that make sense to all you guys? I know it's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot for me to keep up with too. I'm sorry that I haven't communicated it like.
It's not a lot for me to keep. I keep up with
It's a lot for me. It's a lot for me to keep up with.
So I'm trying to compartmentalize it and explain it to you guys a little further. And so, like I said, we would have built the giveaway first, but we had to hit a deadline with the pan. After that, we're getting started on this. So this is the giveaway. If you guys want to sign up for that, head over to blockheadmoto.com, sign up, select a tier. You guys are automatically entered. You get exclusive access to our Discord server, early access to episodes, discounts on our merch, and more. So if you guys have any questions on any of that, feel free to drop your questions down in the comments below, and I'll clarify as much as I can, but I do apologize for any confusion there. This episode going over the Panhead. We're done, right? This is it. It's complete.
Almost.
We're going to see if it'll start, and then we'll tune it up, and then we get to go for a ride. So you want to kind of walk us through where we're at, what you've done since the last time around? No.
I'll just answer.
It's like, I don't want to do any of that.
Chris, you're coming up with all the answers. You want to go for it?
Let's let Chris do the run through. Totally blind because he doesn't know what he's talking about, but go.
I'm not running through anything. It's a motorcycle.
Chris, what's been done since the last time we were here?
A lot. A lot has happened. It looked like that. And now look at it. So that's what has happened. Drew, you want to fill him in?
Real some you know that.
I know.
All right, I guess we'll start at the front, work our way to the back. So we got a 21-inch spool, no front brake, 2 overextended Harley-Davidson factory style Springer. This is an old tractor light from the 40s that has been converted to an LED. We got integrated risers, black bars. Here's some grips that I make and sell.
Freakshowfab.com.
Internal throttle. I said no front brake, no clutch, so the bars are completely clean and bare. We have a very sparkly paint job that I slammed on this thing.
You want to explain like the normal amount of flake versus the amount of? Did we talk about that?
I put a whole jar on, which is 2 ounces, which is actually a lot. I mean, I hammered it on here pretty good, and I did multiple layers, so it's got a lot of depth.
Dude, yeah, it just looks like your hand would go into it.
So I got 63 style badges on it, a tall Eaton cap.
So on the badges though, for those of you that are in the know, so these badges they actually come with the black part here filled in like a cream color. Drew and I were talking back and forth. He had those on the bike and I was like, man, the cream color just doesn't fit. There's obviously nothing else on the bike that's, you know, white or cream. I took it into Photoshop real quick. I made it black and it was like, damn, that looks good. And so he was like, all right, time to bust out the pinstriping brushes, right? Yep. So he basically filled it in, painted it black. Looks great.
Yeah, it turned out really nice. Good. All new electrical in here, so brand new coil, new wires, new plugs, cycle electrics, regulator. Generator's the old generator, but it was working fine. And then it also has on the other side an electronic distributor. Here's your clutch now, so it's a foot clutch. This is a slingshot clutch by Prism. This is also their foot controls. I ended up not making them, which I usually do for sake of time. 10 primary, jockey shift with a knob that I made to match the grips. 16-inch rear wheel, disc brakes, which these would have had drum brakes originally, so it's kind of got like an upgraded brake. Polished stainless steel sissy bar, it looks like chrome. This is probably a 30s marker light that I converted into a tail light with LEDs.
Damn, the thing is bright.
Yeah, it's a bright one.
You got a clutch knob,
Yeah, I got
a pedal, and grips in
there.
Yeah, where do they get those?
So I make a lot of these parts.
Real quick, you were just talking about electric. You just posted these online.
Yeah, these are chopper wiring diagrams that I did for a magazine a while back, and
you like hand drew these?
Yeah, hand drew these.
That's super cool, man.
And I used a lot of the chopper part, like the fancy chopper parts in them, instead of like the traditional ones that were the traditional wiring diagrams you see. But I just did some fun stuff with them. But yeah, there's a couple different ones. So there's like Triumph BSA, a Magneto style one, and then an alternator and generator one. So
and these are for sale on your website.
They're for sale on my website. Put them in your garage. Good reference.
I want one.
Yeah, I make these grips. So, like I said, these ones we made to match the paint. A kicker pedal to match. I do these little choke assemblies as well. It does have the jockey shift knob as well. But all this is on my website, or if it's not on my website, you can always just hit me up.
You got like that Blockhead promo code on your website yet? Where people save 5% using coupon code Blockhead?
Man,
5% is
10%? You want to say 10%? I mean, it's up to you.
We'll do 10%. We'll do 10%.
We'll do 10%?
I'll do 10%.
Or if you guys go on
trying to give away my stuff for 5%. That's almost insulting. Yeah, no, I'll do 10% with that Blockhead promo code. Man, everyone's gonna be upset that's bought t-shirts before this one.
That's the way it works, man. So yeah, if you guys head over to Freak Show Fab, you guys want to scoop up anything on his website, from the wiring diagrams to t-shirts to like custom grips or anything like that. He sells sissy bars, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, use code Blockhead and it'll give you 10% off. Yeah. I started low because I didn't want to be like taking money away, you know?
He's like, yo, 50% off that Blockhead.
50% off, guys, holy shit. I literally have not talked to him about that. I just did it. And
right, that was live real time. I like how you just
get on a green, bro.
On camera.
10% heads up.
Yeah.
Sometimes. All right, so where were we? Okay, yeah, so we've got disc brakes, upside fishtail pipes. These seats are from Red Tail Leather. It's a buddy of mine. He custom made this P-pad specifically for me, well, for him. This was the original oil tank that came with the bike, but I reworked it a little bit, quite a bit. So I ended up cutting a notch out. I think I just talked about it on one of the other videos, but I ended up notching this so it had clearance for the pipe because the pipe was right up against it, and it was going to melt all that paint I just put on it off. And then I also did a banjo style fittings here, the hard lines instead of what I had before, which was soft lines that would have gotten completely roasted by those pipes.
And you blued them too,
and
right?
I blued them with gun bluing because I didn't want to send them out for chrome because that was a ridiculous thing to get chrome, just two lines. I switched this out to an early style straight kicker arm so it didn't stick out so far. You don't want it too loose.
She's tight.
Yeah, because it'll flop out then.
Yeah.
Gas box air cleaner, more prism stuff. I modified this ever so slightly. A Panhead motor, a 4-speed transmission. Oh, this is kind of cool. I put this little tiny pressure gauge.
Oh, it's a pressure gauge?
On it. Yeah, so a little oil pressure gauge right there, so you can see if your oil pressure is going to drop, or it's where it's supposed to be. The other thing that I do is when I do these internal throttles, I end up flipping the cable around, so you have an adjuster.
Oh, okay.
Here,
that's cool.
You have to change this a little bit, but yeah, you end up doing that so you can actually adjust your cable instead of just winging it.
Nice.
And that's pretty much it. It's a chopper. There's really not much to it. I did end up using, on the other side, the ignition setup too is from my buddy Chop Docs. I ended up using his part because he had it, and I didn't feel like making one.
Nice. I love it, bro. Came out so good.
Good.
Nice
Good.
job.
I'm just glad you're happy with it.
Yeah, man.
That's really the most important thing.
Sick. Run a fuel line and...
Yeah, I'm going to put a fuel line on it, put some gas in it, and
crank her up.
see it burns to the ground.
So, put that juju out there. There's wood around here somewhere. Knock on that I was originally talking about, like, you know, picking up the bike and us trying to hit this deadline, right? So Harley-Davidson was basically talking to me and a few other content creators, and we were supposed to get old bikes and we were supposed to rebuild them. It wasn't totally greenlit. It was an idea. It was going, kind of being passed up through the ranks. Unfortunately, it didn't get approved. So the funding that we thought was going to happen for the trip to be able to ride this bike from here in Daytona up to Milwaukee for the 120th. The funding didn't happen, which is no worries because I still want to do a ride on it. I was still eager to like basically get the build done. And so instead, we're planning on basically taking it from here in Daytona, still doing a trip, but we're going to be going to Tennessee, North Carolina. So the Blue Ridge Parkway, Tail of the Dragon, check out Wheels Through Time. We're going to stop in Savannah, basically taking back roads up there, riding this bike. That's the new plan. Still taking it on a trip. I am still going to be up in Milwaukee for the 120th. But yeah, that was why we were like rushing to get this thing done. And I put Drew under this deadline, which he loved.
You just about killed me.
That's where we resume. We get the fuel line on. We get some fuel in it. And let's crank it up. All right, so what is this little beaker trick?
All right, so the fuel line is a different size than the nipple on the carb. So if you take and put some boiling water or nuke in the microwave some water and you put the hose in it, it will get soft and it'll also swell and you'll be able to slide it onto the barb a lot easier.
All right, water heated up.
And there you go.
Science. You know what's funny is I've actually never thought of doing this with a rubber hose. I've totally done it with like metal, you know, bearings into like hubs, kind of stuff.
Yeah, like heating or cooling.
Yeah, so like you stick the wheel bearings in the freezer and then you heat up the hub. But for some reason, I've never thought about doing it with like a rubber hose.
Sometimes they're a real bear to get on.
Real what?
Real bear.
Bear?
So
what kind of bear though? I mean, like
see how easy that was? Versus me trying to fight with it.
So was that like more like a koala bear? Versus if you didn't put it in the beaker, that'd be like a
Brown bear.
Polar
Like
bear?
a polar bear.
Grizzly?
Grizzly. Maybe a black bear. It's not that big.
Which would win, polar bear or grizzly bear in a fight?
You know, that's a good question. Knowing what I know of the two bears where I lived,
Right.
polar bears are
I also
larger.
worked there.
And yeah, you've been there too.
I did, yeah.
You probably
Yeah,
saw a
I heard polar bears are
I've
vicious.
I've been really close to them.
Yeah. Grizzly won't actively hunt out a human, but a polar
polar
bear
will.
will. No, not saying the brown bear won't eat a person. That's not what I'm saying. But
Oh,
to
it's been documented.
Yeah, of course. That one dude that lived with bears, that poor guy
Yeah,
got
his
ate
face
up.
ripped off, yeah.
All right, so we are getting some gas in the tank. Drew also took the heads off, looked at the pistons, looked at the cylinders, everything he said is looking good. We are literally going into the unknown here, though. The engine, as per what we've been
The
told,
only thing I
has-
did was switch the head gasket out. For whatever reason, I couldn't get the distributor out. So I had to pull the head to get the distributor out to put the new one in.
And you said the gaskets look brand new,
And
right?
the gaskets are brand new. I don't think it's ever been ran. They came right off. Like,
So-
they weren't heat cycled and stuck to it at all. Like, they were like brand new. So I don't think this bike's ever really ran since it got blown up and put back together.
Whenever I bought it, the guy said that the engine was just rebuilt. He did run it afterwards, but since he wasn't able to kick it, he tied it to a golf cart, and then he got his wife to drive the golf cart so that he could bump start it. Super dangerous, especially for this older guy. So that's how he ran it, but he didn't ride it too far. He just wanted to like keep fluids going through it, and then he just let it set for a couple years. So this is literally us going into the unknown. The engine is supposed to be rebuilt. We don't know how it's going to run, if it's going to run. Fingers crossed.
That's neat.
It's supposed to come back up.
Yeah.
Well, there's problem one.
I didn't stretch before I did this.
That Harley kicker workout.
Fired up.
Alright, so I've never kicked a bike before, so...
Don't fall over.
Don't kick it like a
And don't fall
It'll
over.
hurt you. No!
Oh! First kick ever, and it fucking starts for him.
It's like the jar that you're going to open, Drew loosened it.
Yeah.
She runs, so that is confirmed. From here, it's basically tweaking. We got to basically adjust the carb, get that nice idle, that gallop going. After that, we'll get to try and go ride it. Based on how the kicker stays down, but then also how it went into gear and it was a little difficult to get back into neutral, does hint at possible transmission issue, which we'll be able to further diagnose once we get it up and running.
I had it loose from the support. I don't have this bolt in there, so I had it loose. So I gotta get a longer bolt for it, so it was loose. So that might have been why the idle was all over the place. Probably a little intake, had a little intake leak. If you spray your intakes and it changes the way the bike is running, it'll either climb or drop. You can use Windex. I just happen to have brake cleaner. I just shot a little there. It'll suck it in and it'll make it start running different.
That's smart.
And then you know it's got an intake leak.
Right. Yeah,
If I
like
would
it
have
burns
sprayed up
better.
there, I bet you it would have been like, like with a brake cleaner, it'll climb. Windex, it'll.
Yeah, bikes don't usually run too well on Windex.
Yeah, it'll like,
Now that we've eaten, you get to jump up and down and kick a bike.
throw up.
So on the giveaway bike that we're building, this is one of those reasons that we said, like, we're going to put an electric start on it, but then also a kicker. So if you want to kick it, you can kick it, because period, error,
Yeah,
correct.
You can kick it at the bar in front of everybody and look like a cool guy, but when you're by yourself and you're like, oh, that, you can
Yeah.
push the button.
You know, you've gone to eat and you've got a full belly and you don't want to jump up and down and kick a bike, we'll give you the option to hit a starter.
Hey, your timid way got it started. His like, I know what I'm doing. And
I think he leans into it because it gets more push down.
Like how we're critiquing.
it's more body weight. That's what hasn't happened to you yet.
So what is a kickback?
It's when it fires. When the pistons,
Because it's not timed already.
when the piston's not all the way at the top, but it makes it go backwards.
So it's basically you're pressing down, but then it kicks you
And
back
it
up.
kicks the pedal right back at you.
Let me try. Okay. It's your most, dude.
You do what you want.
Now he's
Now he's real afraid.
Scared.
If you kick it off, he's
Well,
trying to get the fuck away from it now.
I mean, you could do that, but it looks silly.
Drew, it just started that thing.
Start it again.
It's like riding a skateboard.
Yeah.
Oh.
It almost started. I'm going to have to retime it. Pull the distributor, roll the motor over so I see the timing marks. So I'm at top dead center where I'm supposed to be. Clock it over one more and then drop it back in. It's got a worm gear. And where I'm at now, where this needs to be, I need to pull it and move it over because there's wires coming out the back of this distributor. If I go to clock it now to retard it, they're actually hitting the cylinder. So I don't have enough rotation out of it. So basically what it is it changes where the spark happens.
For you guys at home, if this goes this way, the piston fires before the piston gets to the top. So when it's in the middle, it fires at the top. But as I rotate it this way, it'll fire as the piston is not quite to the top, and if I go backwards, it'll fire potentially after the top if I so choose.
So if it fires too soon or too late, it makes a difference on how it runs. It also makes a difference on where it's going to try to break your ankle or not. So if it's too advanced, it'll whomp you and it'll try to break your ankle, which it just did to me a little while ago.
And so to explain that one more time, if the spark fires when the piston's only, say, halfway up, it doesn't have enough momentum yet, it goes bang and it actually stops the piston and or makes it go backwards, which in turn turns everything backwards.
Exactly. And
including your foot.
Including your foot.
Right.
And it makes it go wham! And it hurts. So this is your old point setup. This is electronic ignition. It's got a bunch of electrical mumbo jumbo in here.
He'd love to open it, but it's all screwed
It's got a bunch of screws in it. So this drops in here, and it indexes with your pinion gear, which is connected to your flywheels and all that stuff. So that's what tells your bike basically when to fire and when not to fire. But you've got like full adjustment on this thing. You can move it all over the place. So when I dropped it in and I set this to where it needed to go, it can go multiple spots because of this worm gear. So currently where it fell into its happy spot is too far this way.
And the wires
are
this
hitting.
This part is what's...
Yep. This little pigtail right here is what's hitting the cylinders.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is pull it out, move it, so when he goes to retard it for kicking, it'll make it a lot easier to start.
Yep.
So then he can retard it and then roll it backwards to advance it.
That sounded good, right? Before it went to like it was like the best, and then
I'll have to tune the car, man. I could take it for a little bit of a ride and see what happens.
Bro, I gotta go outside. My eyes are so burning right now.
Look at this helmet. God damn. Woo, stylish.
Rides great, but it's making some terrible noises out of the transmission. We did it.
Did you hear me?
It runs.
It's running.
So you wouldn't give it a clean bill of health right now? Just yet?
I wouldn't send you halfway across the country.
Tennessee's like a quarter of the way. As you guys saw in that footage, unfortunately we did come across some issues with the transmission. The kicker was also sticking, so we're gonna get that fixed. And then we also have a pretty good leak in the lower part of the case, as you guys saw in a previous episode, or if you didn't. The bottom of this case, like this engine actually exploded at some point, which I wasn't able to see whenever I purchased the bike. The seller also did not disclose. It's probably why the engine was freshly built, as the seller told me, freshly rebuilt or gone through. While the weld looked good, unfortunately it is leaking a good amount of oil, so we're gonna have to go through, fix that, and then we're also gonna have to go through and fix the transmission. However, we're not going to fix the transmission just yet. It is rideable, acceptable, but what we're going to do is I'm going to learn how to ride it. So that'll be the next episode that you guys see, is me learning how to ride this motorcycle, because I've never ridden something with jockey shift or suicide shift here on the left, and a foot clutch. Now I do drive manual cars, and you know, I've ridden motorcycles for 7+ years, so I assume I should hopefully get it pretty quick. But I'm gonna have a helmet on, GoPro on the helmet, and gonna be going through my first experience ever riding jockey shift. So there you go, guys. I hope you guys are up to speed on this thing. Hopefully there was some clarification there in the giveaways as well. So this is the caliber that we're going to be building the bike that we're giving back to you guys. That shovel pan, show pan, as we're calling it, or I don't know, I'm really torn. Maybe we just do a panhead. You guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We'll go from there. Let's come back to that other footage. Sorry about the back and forth, just trying to keep everybody on the same page here. Leave some comments for Chris, because Chris loves comments.
Absolutely.
Leave some comments for Drew.
How to kick a motorcycle. That'd be...
on how to mend his ankle.
Comments are great. Chris loves comments.
Yes.
Apparently, I'm a nice guy. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, share.
I bet y'all didn't know he was a nice
hug, guy. Love.
No.
Hate.
Yeah.
Hate, disdain. Yeah. Seriously though, leave a comment. We are putting out these videos for free to you guys, like as entertainment, and the comments are entertainment for us. So, because
so you owe us.
I mean, give us back some free entertainment, because Chris reads them, they read them, and like I get entertainment out of their reactions to y'all's comments.
Hold on, hit that goddamn
leave that free comment.
Yeah, no, it's free to you.
Yeah, don't buy anything, just leave comments.
All it costs you is some thumb strokes or some keystrokes. That's it. Yeah, I know that sounded weird to you, because you had to go there. But anyway.
Sure.
All right, see you guys on the next video. Ride safe, stay vigilant.
That's our outro. See you. Hey, we did a good one.